All right, so we're gonna do a VOD review for Craft Warrior 1 on Barik. Starting off with Wrecker buy against Nando Co is pretty smart, especially Nando. I typically start Wrecker on Barik against Nando. It just helps you break shields very well. Your loadout is not one that I would suggest running or would run myself. I will put the cards that I think are good up on the screen. Barik has a lot of different loadouts that you can make work, in my opinion. So
it's showtime.
Yeah, I'll have the cards up. You're shooting the Nando, which is good. Breaking the shield. There's not a whole lot going on, so this is fine. Here you look a little lost. You do this a couple times during the game. It's okay. Just always make sure you're doing something. Right here you make a mistake that could have potentially cost you guys the point. There's no point for you to be walking back to the point because the Grover's on it and he's running ferocity, so you don't need to come back. He's got it. What you should have done is you should have placed a turret, or what I would have done is placed a turret over here on the right. Like on the right side of that. That way you dismount people who come right if your team is not looking, and then just stay up there and shield for your team as well as dismount people. But anyways, you guys still cap the point here, which is pretty good. Your shield usage is really like off cooldown without much thought. We talked about this when you came to my stream, but you have a lot of wasted shields and just generally bad positioned shields. The Grover ulted. You could have went back to the Grover to get healing from the ult. That would have probably been best, but it's okay. You're out here surviving. You could put a turret behind the rock and it would heal you. And it has quite a big radius. Pushing the Mave here is okay. However, don't commit. That was a wasted shield. I think pushing over here is a waste of time just because she's so mobile. You're probably better off letting someone else chase her down. Backing up here is good. You'd also be getting... This takes you a really long time to get back into the fight, even though your Grover heals you. I just thought I'd point it out. The turret heal would put you in the fight a lot faster. You'd be getting passive heals all right here. And then it's like right here, you're just standing for a really long time waiting. You could be getting turret heals. Grover has a pretty long heal cooldown, so... Also, you were standing in Swarm, taking unnecessary damage. Just keep that in mind. This shield is actually fairly okay. However, the better shield would be to place it right like here, like from the rock this way, or in the middle. Putting it behind the rock is kind of a waste a little bit because I mean the rock is there, so something to keep in mind. However, overall pretty alright shield usage. Let me find you again. Right here you could rocket boots up and use your ult to take space. However, you kill the Nando, which is also a good play. I just know you're asking about when to ult aggressively, but as soon as they're down players, pushing up and ulting is almost always a good play, assuming there are people there. You get hooked here, which is pretty unfortunate. Not much you could have done because your cooldowns were obviously on cooldown. You want to be really careful challenging Makoa with no cooldowns because of that specifically. I'm not sure if you got hit off your mount with the Sawteel or if you dismounted to rocket boots, but in case you did dismount yourself, make sure you don't do that. It's a really bad habit that a lot of players have. You're down to You guys pretty much have no chance of winning. That's okay. Backing up's the right play. You don't want to contest. The only issue is that you die, which gives them credits as well as extra ult charge. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so going in, you have Wrecker 2, Rejuve 2. Rejuve's an okay buy here. Getting out of caught from Nando can sometimes be annoying. So I think that's okay. However, like I said, I also think you'd be benefiting a lot more from the turret hills than you originally thought. Rocket boosting to this side of the point is a little interesting. You don't have anybody over here, so if you stayed over here, Cohen may veer free kill. But then you start, it looks like you start walking back to the left, meaning you wasted your rocket boots. But yes, like even right here, you would be getting healed to full just by passive heals and not having the Grover heal you. Luckily, the Barik or the BK was there, so heals anyways. This is fine. I believe you ult here, which is a good. Yep. It's a pretty good ult. You waste shield. The Nando ulted inside your ult. Getting the ult timing down is pretty important, but that just comes with practice. It's like a very minor thing. You should have dismounted the Koa here. It's crazy that he mounts this far into your team. This is a good shield. If you placed a turret here, you would be full, if not like almost full. Again, just if you placed it like right here behind the wall. Honestly, I would have put a turret over, probably like over here somewhere. That way, if they're coming down the stairs, they get dismounted, or if they're right, they might get dismounted as well. You always want to keep in mind off lanes. This is kind of a wasted shield. Suppose it's not too awful. Place a turret down. Your turrets do so much damage. You should have been placing a turret down between shots while you were firing at the Nando. I don't think you're turreting enough. Okay, here's the really big issue though. I'm gonna slow it down just to like run it back. This, in my opinion, costs your team the point. This isn't to say that you're the only person on your team that messed up that cost your team this point. However, you have no support, you have no bomb king. Your 7 is literally one. Your 7's dead. Don't even, yeah, he just died in the slow-mo. All you have is you and Khan. Your choices here is to try and live. However, that's not applicable to the situation. This is a very hard. You should not be walking forward if you're trying to live. You should be walking back. Just always leave your Khan to die 100% of the time. You can't save him. There's no point for you to be up here. Your other option is to die on point as fast as you can. It's important that you die on point because they're getting cap time here, and you lose this point by such a small amount. You either die on point without using any cooldowns, that way you respawn faster with your team, which means you would have had touch, or you die on point using your cooldowns, which means someone on your team would have had touch because you were contesting just a little bit longer. You didn't have cooldowns, but if you did have better cooldown management, that was another option. As you can see here, your 7 goes for touch, but he just can't get it. Like literally by just a frame or two. Okay, that was more than a frame or two. That was like a second, half a second to a second. So in my opinion, that point was doable. Even though the 7 dies for touch, it still goes into overtime. Your entire team's still up. You guys had the potential to make something work. Again, here you would be getting a lot of passive heals from your turret. I'm sorry, I'm like bringing that up a lot, but it literally is really good. I know you talked about cauterize being an issue, however, with good shields and whatnot, dropping caught isn't too bad. This shield is okay, however, the Bomb King isn't even using it. Like, in my opinion, you either commit to shielding here or... Now, shielding here is pretty shit. You probably should have just shielded main a little more. That way you gave the rest of your team more of an angle. Overall, it's not too big of a deal, but just something to keep in mind. They're down Nando. You guys just got a kill. It's now a 4v5. You should rocket boots forward and ult if you need to, or shield. Give your team space to make something work. However, you want to be super careful walking past these, because it's harder for your team to keep you safe by using damage or whatnot to help heal for you / make you more of a threat. I think if you rocket boots forward, the Koa might have died, but or you no, he doesn't have ult. Never mind. He probably died. Okay, here's fine. Make sure you're always paying attention to the kill feed. You just lost your con, who's right there, which means you should be backing up. You guys are now playing at a disadvantage.
Killing spree.
It doesn't matter how low they are, you should be backing up. You guys trade for the Sati, that's okay. Grover ults. You are playing really far up. You just lost your Grover. You need to rocket boots out right now. And you just need to wait for... Honestly, I would wait for the Grover to come back, especially because you don't have heals from your turret. If you had a more sustainy build, you could maybe afford to play a little bit more aggressive. You shield, that's okay, but it doesn't really do much. You end up having to leave. The thing to keep in mind is that Koa's on your high ground. I am a pretty conservative player, I'd say. I really don't like fighting in situations, so I probably would have played that a little more scared than you. However, this is okay. If it didn't go to overtime, right, or if the round didn't end right now, I mean, this would be a terrible spot to play because, as you can see, you would have died. Not much to say here. Your team all have ult except for Grover. He's ferocity though, so he should build it back before he would even need it. However, they also have all their ults. Just be wary of that. Honestly, the Resi buy for the Mavel could have been value, but I respect the Haven buy. Personally, I would have went with Vet because you're not like hard winning. You could, the extra credits that you save going Vet could make a difference here. Overall, it's fine because you have a Grover. You could have ulted right there. I think that's what I would have done. However, what you're doing is fine. Ulting late. I'm not a huge fan of this ult, but I suppose it's okay because it takes pressure off of your team who's back here.
Enemy killing spree.
Okay, your 7 just got a pick, and then he died. You guys traded 1-for-1 DPS. Something I forgot to mention, because you ulted late, you lost your failsafe while you were walking up to the Nando, which means you don't have it here. Rocket bootsing to the Koa is okay. You just want to be super wary of if you have failsafe or not, because failsafe could have saved you here. I don't love this shield, but I suppose it's fine. You should be backing up though. You're really far up compared to the rest of your team. While it's important to make space, that's not valuable space for your team to have, I would argue, because your team is so far back. And that's playing right there is a really awkward angle, like taking this space, because it forces your Bomb King to be a little closer over here, and they don't get too much value this way. They get a little bit from you being there, but the reason I'm not pausing the VOD when I do that is because it will break the replay because high res. So pretty bad shield. Also, I don't really think you should be on high ground right now. I would personally be playing more right here. Let your con and whoever deal with high ground. You just lost one and you're pushing in. This is a really risky play. You're pushing into Maeve, Koa. Even though they're low, all it takes is like a Koa hook, Maeve's Cat Burglar proc, and a pounce, and you're done for. You also don't know who could be hiding behind this corner. So Just make sure you're super careful here. You don't die, which is, well, you don't die yet, which is fine. Eventually, I believe you end up getting hooked and dying. Oh no, he walks up.
Enemy killing spree.
Overall, pretty unlucky. Staying up there is pretty hard. I don't think it's the right play. And then there's not much to say from here. Your team just kind of flops. You should not be shooting the Nando here because of how close the cart is. You should be contesting cart. That said, everyone on your team is dead, so I'm not sure if you even have a chance at defending.
Enemy rampage.
I don't think it makes too big of a difference, but yeah, that should give you some things to work on. The big takeaways are shield usage, being super careful about your positioning, knowing when to take space, where to take space. I can help you more in depth with that. I didn't go over it too well, I feel, but yeah, if you have any other questions, hit me up. Thanks for checking out my video. We're going to have a 200 crystal giveaway this week. All you need to do is comment in the description. If you have gameplay that you want reviewed, join the Discord and you can submit replays there.